Riding a dirt bike changed my life. And I think to the uninitiated, to those who at least have never even ridden a motorcycle, that sounds insane. Hello, I'm Jacob Ray from Let's Go Enduro, and it's
TISM talk
TISM Talk is about being on the spectrum in motorsports. Today, I want to talk about how finding dirt bike riding has really changed my life. I went from self-destruction to self-improvement simply because I found a thing that I absolutely adore. Right? Like to just a regular person, someone saying riding a dirt bike changed my life is like, oh my gosh, you're being so dramatic. Yeah, it did change my life. I want to talk about why, how, and can it change your life as well? The whole point of this channel is to share enduro with the world, and maybe you'll like it. How did dirt biking change my life? I have ridden motorcycles in the past. I bought my first motorcycle when I was 19 years old. It was a 1974 Yamaha. Old bike, slow, and I rode it from Michigan to Texas. And when it broke, I didn't know how to fix it, so I had to sell it because back then I had no idea how to fix stuff, which is hilarious now because now I fix everything. But yeah, so I didn't grow up like riding dirt bikes. A lot of people, especially a lot of people that you see on social media, they've been riding dirt bikes their entire life. So it's kind of crazy to me that I have any following whatsoever, big or small, because there are people that can do backflips, and and there are people that race professionally. But I think what's important to note is that that's not what it's about. A little bit of backstory about me is that I'm autistic. That might help explain a few things in this story. I went to college for athletics. I was a pole vaulter, and I didn't do well in college. I don't know whether it was the pressure or the amount of time required. I just couldn't handle that because I took my classes very seriously. And I knew that I was in college at the university to learn and to take my classes, but I was also waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go work out for 4 hours, doing my classes, then going to work out again for 4 hours, and this was all year. So I understand how like Division 1 athletics work, and how that team, most of those people on that team were national champions, and a good majority of them were Olympians. So I understand how training works. But one day, like I said, I didn't perform well, and the coach and I had a conversation, and he's like, "Hey, you're welcome to come back next year, but you have to perform." And I said to him, "Look, I don't think I'm going to be able to do better. I think this is the best I can do. It's all good. I'm really happy because I was able to get into a school that my grades in high school otherwise wouldn't have allowed me to." So, but after track, I didn't really have a thing. It was all good. I just switched from working out 8 hours a day, going to class, to going to class, and that's basically when my life with my wife started. I bebopped around after college. After I graduated college, I jumped around jobs a lot. I've done everything. I was a prison guard. I worked at a sporting goods store. I took photos of used cars for used car dealerships. That was like a whole thing. I worked as an auto mechanic. I worked as a classic car restoration mechanic. I did motorcycle airbrushing. And all of this is within a span of like, what would that be? Like less than 10 years. I even worked at a vape shop for a while. But mostly I was known for the end of all of that. I started a business called Jacob Ray Razors because everything that I do has my name in it because I'm not original. And I made straight razors. And I did that for a long time. And while doing that, my wife decided, told that we were moving to Mexico, which I don't care. Sounds good to me. Let's go. And so we moved to Mexico. The reason I don't care and it's not a big deal is like I moved away from my family when I was going to college. They're from Michigan, and I went to college in Texas. So I didn't have any ties to at the time Oklahoma where I lived. I had friends and stuff, but it wasn't like, it wasn't a hard tie to sever. Anyways, so we moved to Mexico. I continue to make razors, and one day I feel burnout. And I don't know if you've ever felt burnout or not, but it basically is like I'm sitting there doing something that I used to be very passionate about and absolutely adore, which was making straight razors and knives and stuff, working with my hands, and it just made me feel so bad. It got to the point where I actually stopped doing that. I will still make a straight razor from time to time just to kind of keep the skill fresh in case I ever want to go back to it. But truth be told, just the sound of the grinder puts me in a bad mind space. So it's not like good for me. It's like everyone says, oh, well, work isn't fun. Yeah, that's true. If work becomes something that puts you in a bad state of mind, you probably should get a different thing. You should get a different work. To be honest, after straight razors, it was that moment again in my life, like after track, where I didn't really have a thing, I tried to make razors and couldn't do it. I even took a year and tried to do video game streaming because I always liked the idea of video, telling a story through video. Here we are. I realized someone asked me one day after about a year of streaming, they said, well, what's your goal here? Do you want to be famous? I was like, no. And like, do you want to be like a pro gamer? I was like, no, definitely not. And like, what are you doing? And I didn't have an answer. So I decided, okay, I want to use this streaming platform to start do some good. So I did a fundraiser and built a PC. So I was using the platform to raise money to build a custom PC. So I was using all of my skills, painting, metalworking, streaming, to do good, and that felt right. And then after I did that, the person that I did it for came back to me. They thought that I was taking the money because they did the math and that it didn't add up. But I actually ended up losing, because I bought the hardware, I bought all the paint, did all the work for free, did all that stuff for free, and then I flew to him, paid for a hotel, and then flew back. So all of that cost me money. So any money that I made streaming on top of the donations that I raised, it was gone. I worked for a year for free, essentially. That hurt bad. That hurt really bad. That took any wind I had in my sails, and just it was gone. The idea of going back to streaming with absolutely no reason was really hard, because it was like I thought I had found my thing. I thought, this is it. I'm going to use this platform so that I can build computers for people to make their lives, better. Other streamers or just people who are deserving of that. And it got crapped on really hard, and I couldn't get over it. Again, remember earlier when I said, I'm autistic, so I obsessed over this and I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I just stopped streaming. I went from not being a successful streamer, but successful enough to raise like $1,000 to build a computer, to just straight up one day never streaming again. I streamed at least 4 hours a day every day for a year, and then just stopped because of that. I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, what a snowflake, how weak. It's like, okay, dude, that's fine. Like, say whatever you want to say about me. That's what I'm here for. But after that, I had nothing. I had tried everything, you know what I mean? I was back to after track, after razors, after streaming. But during streaming, because I'm autistic, I didn't feel like I was entertaining enough. So I started drinking a little bit during my streams. I'm just chilling. I'm hanging out with buds, so I'm drinking. And then at the end of my streaming career, I wasn't drinking, but I was drinking a lot. So I was starting to okay, this guy's just getting drunk and streaming, because I didn't feel like people thought I was interesting unless I was drunk. This is a very common thing for autistic people. but that's what the truth is. And then after streaming, it didn't stop. That's not how it works. So I was drinking too much. I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic, but I was definitely on the path to becoming an alcoholic. Anyways, one day I said to my wife, "Hey, I don't, I think it would be nice to get a motorcycle, but we live in Mexico and the roads are pretty terrible. So getting a street bike was kind of just like, why?" So I said, "Well, why don't I get one of these adventure bikes? Do both, So I did, and it was amazing. I actually at that time had never heard of hard enduro, never heard of trials, never heard of enduro. I had never watched motocross. I knew nothing about the off-road world. This was like 3 years ago, so it hasn't been that long. I rode the KTM 950 Adventure for about a year, and then one day I went to my wife. I was like, "Look, the kind of stuff that I'm doing, this bike is just wrong for, like, absolutely wrong." So we figured out a way to get a different bike. It was a KTM 450. Basically, after that moment, after I went from not having anything, I went from hiding that sadness because of the way that streaming ended, the way that I realized that it just made me feel like people were bad, and the fact that I just felt like people were bad. And if you're a grown person, you understand what I'm saying. Anyways, so I went from that dark place to, okay, there's some light here. I think I like this. I didn't think of it as a sport yet. And then to make matters worse, I was showing another motorcyclist around Puebla to show them how nice it is. We go to one of the open air markets and we get some fruit. And when we come back, my bike was stolen. So my first enduro bike was stolen. That really helps, bring me around to thinking that people are good. Anyways, it was insured, and we sorted that out. And I had never done any kind of race before. I think on the 450 I did a rally race, which is just basically sit on your butt for 8 hours. I'd never done a air scramble. I'd never done a hard enduro, but I loved it. I loved watching Manny Littenbickler and Billy Bolt. And I said, "Look, why don't we get this 300? And my wife's like, "Hey, 2 strokes are a lot of maintenance." She grew up riding dirt bikes. And I said, "I can do it." She kind of laughed, was like, "All right, whatever, let's get this." And when I got that dirt bike, it was like the culmination of my experience in track. We're training every day, how to train, mixed with the video making that I do and am doing currently. It all kind of came together. And I think that's what's funny about life, is that we have these moments that are really dark and they last a really long time, and we think this is just how it is. And a couple of years go by and you realize that if you didn't have all of those things, if you didn't have that experience, if you didn't have those moments, you wouldn't be where you are now. You have to have all of that stuff happen. If I never pole vaulted, I wouldn't know how to train. I wouldn't know how to improve quickly. If I had never taken the mechanic job that I was completely underqualified for, I wouldn't have the confidence to repair the motorcycle, which I have to do frequently. If I had never tried streaming, I wouldn't understand how social media works and how to be on camera or whatever. So it all adds up. And I don't know how to say it. I'm trying to say this in the most uncorny possible way, because I don't wax lyrical about the beauty of riding a dirt bike. I think that to me, it's more important that I went from self-destruction to self-improvement simply because I found a thing that I absolutely adore. I love it. I love the technical difficulty, how hard it is to learn new skills. I love the visual aspect of it when I record. I love that I am autistic, and then there are people that want to do the sport that are also autistic, and they can see, oh, it's something that I can do because this guy is doing it. So really, all of those things come together to make this the moment I'm 36 years old now. I'm too old to be a professional dirt bike racer. That's never going to happen. But that does not mean that I can't train for racing. I still go race, and I do well. And if I start winning races in a class, I go up a class, because the goal isn't to go win races. The goal for me is to challenge myself and to better myself. And I think that general mindset I didn't have before I started riding. That general mindset, I had the opposite of that before I started riding. It was, people are bad, so why try? And now it's more like, I still honestly think most people are bad, and the comment section doesn't help. But there are some good people. But it doesn't matter what the world is. It matters what you are. Your character is defined by who you are when everything around you is bad. So if you're bad because the world is bad, your character is bad. But if the world around you is bad, people are mean to you, you get stolen from, someone hurts you or whatever, but you're still good, that speaks to your character. So I keep making these videos, I keep pushing, even though I'll never be a professional rider, even though the people in the comments generally are pretty freaking rude. I keep doing it because I want to be better. I want to improve on the motorcycle. I want to make more entertaining videos. I want to be a good example for people on the spectrum. I want all of those things. And some guy getting drunk at 12 o'clock in the afternoon isn't doing those things. But a guy waking up early, editing videos, going out and training, and then going racing, and then when people watch those videos, they see a guy with autism badges on his bike just doing everything he can to be the best that he can. That's making the world a slightly better place. Now, I don't think that I'm Mother Teresa, and I don't think that I'm going to make massive sweeping changes. But if I can just make one kid realize that, hey, I can try this, I can try what I want to try, and if I fail, it's all good, but I tried. If I can just make one kid, or a dozen, yeah, that's my new goal. That's what I'm after now. So, dirt biking did change my life. It really did, for the better. And it's not because of some poetic thing about how enduro is more than a sport, it's a lifestyle. Like, yeah, that's all true, but it's not like that should not be this big thing that you base your whole life around. My thing is that it took me from a place of everything is terrible, I can't change it, and now even if things are terrible, even though things might not be great in the world right now, I can still go out and try and be better at my double blips. I can go practice slow wheelies. It doesn't matter what's going on around you. It's you and your desire to improve on whatever it is that you're doing, and that just happens to be a dirt bike for me. Try what you want to try. If you want to be a professional singer, try it. Don't just let one person tell you that you're bad at it and then give up. Try. If you want to be a professional hat maker, try it. If you want to make straight razors for a living, try it. Because who knows, you might end up being one of the best straight razor makers in the world. And maybe one day you won't like it anymore. So try something different. So yeah, in short, dirt biking changed my life. It changed my perspective, and it gave me a reason to improve. I'm sure I'll edit the vast majority of this out. Like I said, I don't want to be so poetic guy trying to like get you to ride dirt bikes. If you don't want to ride dirt bikes, that's fine. Or if you're completely okay riding them slowly, that's cool too. I just wanted to say that whatever that it might be a big deal to you, and it might be worth checking out. Anyways, dirt biking didn't just physically make me stronger, it made me stronger mentally, and it made me feel like I have something to work towards. So, anyways, I'm going to end it off there. I kind of run out of things to say. Thanks for watching.